Using John's model for reflection requires a reflective practitioner to look inward and also to look out. In terms of the reflection process, this means that the reflective practitioner is doing two different things. In terms of looking inward, the reflective practitioner needs to find some space, some time in order to undertake this process, in order to focus on themselves. And this requires the reflective practitioner to pay close attention to their thoughts and their feelings around their teaching practice. And in terms of looking inward, then, what's important for the staged model is that the reflective practitioner is taking time to make note, to write down their thoughts and their emotions around particular incidences, especially where these thoughts and emotions seem significant in relation to their work. Looking out, in contrast, requires a reflective practitioner to not look at their own feelings and their own thoughts, but to be much more analytical in terms of describing the experience, the situation surrounding the experience, and their connection in relation to that experience. And to ask a question, well, what's really significant here? And in terms of looking out, we can apply those additional focus questions to the staged model. We can ask questions around the aesthetics of describing the experience. Questions like, well, what was the point of what I did? What was I trying to achieve with it? And why did I respond in a particular way to that experience when I could have responded in a different way? And what were the consequences of that response? What were the consequences to me as the teacher, but also to the students, or even to others in the teaching situation? And trying to figure out how other people were affected, what were their feelings, what were their emotions about the experience. In terms of the personal attribute questions, what the reflective practitioner is doing is asking questions about why they felt in a particular way, why certain emotions were generated, and trying to understand the reasons for that. And in terms of the ethical considerations, the questions that the reflective practitioner can use to look outward and to describe the situation are questions around understanding what is best and what should be taking place in the situation. In a sense, this is about creating a cognitive map of the ethics which bound us as professionals. Some people call this ethical mapping. We're looking at the sort of at the factors which are embodied both within us and within others, which influence everyone and influence the environment. And in terms of the empirical questions that we can ask, we're looking at what particular knowledge do we have or did we generate which informs our practice. What is the experience that we're using, and what is the knowledge of the theories or the literature saying to us which we can bring to the experience of reflection. And then, of course, we have this additional question component about reflexivity. And what we're doing is thinking here about how the experience we have is situated within our entire experience. Or in other words, how does this experience link to previous experience? How could we handle a particular situation in a particular way? How could we handle it better? And what would be the consequences of other forms of action that we might take in response to a particular experience? And how do we feel about it now after we've had that experience? What has changed? How did we feel before? and how do we feel after. And this is all about reflexivity. And another question we can ask is around support and guidance in relation to the reflection process. And the question about whether we're just supporting ourselves or whether other people can better support us. And also questions around how we're working with colleagues, with others, with families, with children in relation to the process of reflection as a whole. So we can see that using these stages of John's model, at each stage we're both looking inward at reflection and looking outward at reflection. Looking inward internalizes all the processes, and looking outward externalizes all the processes. And together, these two create a very robust model that we can apply.